Welcome back, guys, to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, where things are unraveling. Lana has been pressed in the detention center by us, and we hear about her orders. But first of all, I wish you guys, well, I hope you had a great Christmas, that's for sure, as we move on. Move on indeed. Orders. Tell us about them. Although I can't tell you the details, I can say that I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Bruce Goodman's body. You'll find it inside the trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car. Just as I suspected, indeed. Whenever I put that up, way long ago. Despite what everyone believes, you were not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk's lock was broken, and I discovered the murder weapon while inspecting the body. The murder weapon? You mean Edgeworth's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL9 incident. Serial killer Joe Dark's knife. I couldn't just leave that knife in him, so I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. That would be Edgeworth's knife? That's right. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. And that is the reason for the bandage on your right hand? Yes. It seems that I got blood on the victim's shoes as well. And then she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. Miss Starr, huh? Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? Why indeed? Well, let's find out. It took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't ever want it to be opened again. My intent was to prevent that by whatever means possible. So, you hid Dark's knife. The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Dark case. If word got out, which it would, the reporters would have a field day with that. So you wrapped the knife in your scarf and hid it? In Edgeworth's exhaust pipe? Right, and I called my sister to tell her what happened and to ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling? The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, the first thing I did was make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. To Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL9 incident had been murdered. I wanted that fact to be kept hidden, and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, it seems that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade of his own. Oh, you mean... Not wanting the case to die, he decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. He had already stolen the ID card, but it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room? I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. But Lana, you've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. Tomorrow's trial. There's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. I've got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murderer. What went down in the chief's office 2 years ago? And so as another save point appears! As trials take oh so many days, or more of the point, a certain limited amount of days, we move forward to the final confrontation. The final day in court. February 25th, 9:47 AM. No, it's December 26th. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. This is a defendant lobby, alright, but there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Who's saying this? Miles Edgeworth. Edgeworth! Knowing you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 7777777 ID number is, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True. Not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, Wright, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it! I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. Will it help you? That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, Wright. Well, saying that, to be honest, now is probably the best time to go over evidence that we've got. Because if we're going in for a final day, we're going to need to keep track of what we've got. Or more to the point, of stuff we haven't used as evidence yet. Because usually it comes to be something. So, of course, we got our attorney's badge. No one would believe I was a defense attorney if I didn't carry this. No, I believe. An investigator's ID card, which is Goodman's ID. Maybe that'll be handy. Prosecutor trophy. Now I'm expecting this one to be, because it hasn't been so far. 2 years ago, the halberd was removed at Gant's behest, giving it its current form. Edgeworth's knife, of course. Traces the victim's blood. No prints. Parking stub. Record of parking in the prosecutor's office lot. Haven't been used. Entered lot at 5:12. Blue Badger panel was allegedly dancing in the evidence room at the time of the murder at the PD. We've got Goodman's autopsy report, where he died of one knife wound, died within an hour and a half at 4 PM. Goodman's note, which we know is a link to SL9 in the first place. The word muffler was overheard during a call made to Emma at 5:18. I think that's useless now. Or maybe not, just to prove there was a phone call made. Maybe. Parking lot floor plans, the parking lot with Edgeworth's car. I don't think we're really doing the crime scene so much anymore, but there's the crime photo. The victim's shoe with white enamel shoe with blood on it. Switchblade knife, which probably is important. The broken tip was found on the victim's body, belonged to murderer Joe Dark. Luminol testing fluid, meh. ID card record, of course. A lot hinges on this, and that 777 number, as Edgeworth pointed out. What else do we have here? He says, trying to click us to move forward. Recovers fingerprints from handprints. Fingerprints from handprints, yes. For comparison with fingerprint file, nope. Screwdriver here. Evidence of the past case of Edgeworth's, brought back to his office by Gant's request. I think this one is going to be very useful indeed. No, we don't want to switch to that. We want to keep moving forward. Goodman's lost item report could probably be quite useful as well. We never know. Evidence room 4 plans. Probably not at this point in time. The rubber glove, which says SL9 incident. The insulator in the case. The evidence locker. I think we've done everything with that at this point. The unstable jar. Evidence from the SL9 incident. Final fragment found in Chief Gant's safe has blood traces. Now this one could be useful as well. Now that we've got the final piece and all, it makes sense that it's probably got an extreme purpose. Marshall's prints? Probably not. Security video? Probably not. We've already proven what happened that day. SL9 incident files. The Jark killings? Probably useful indeed. We'll see. Neil's autopsy report: stabbed in the back, died from punctured heart and lung. A knife tip was in the wound. And the Gantt team picture there. Well, they're all together and ready. And a jar sits in the background, of course. In fact, that picture might be more than it is right now looking at it. Again, evidence list, of which half of it has been ripped off. And we know that, yes, we've got an image on the back as well. And we know that someone else in front of us has the other half. We've got a piece of cloth as well. It bears Ema Skye's prints. And that brings us to all our evidence, a roundup as we move forward into court. Let the case begin. This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gantt has on her, it's now. Here we go. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief had a proposal to make. Chief Gantt? Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Archie, been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. So you say. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana! Objection! Indeed! You can't! Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana! Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening! It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant. Objection! Exactly, but it had to be Edgeworth that does it. One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth! The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy! I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, Get that confidence. I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gantt. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal? Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh? To whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Ema Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well. The court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy. You'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Miss Ema Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Ema Skye. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. He sure gave in fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. And so we get the witness's testimony for 2 years ago, the Joe Dark killings. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. Yes, but he's playing it like a team sport, Phoenix. He's relying on you to have the evidence, or me. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. Why? 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? Yes. She was second in command under then Deputy Chief of Police Gant. My sister, she was the best detective ever. Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gant and Miss Skye used to be quite the pair. I believe they shared the same office. That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day too. The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. A man came running in and took me hostage. A man? Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer. Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day for that ceremony, even. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest. When we saw his chance, he fled the room, right? On fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Skye and Gant's office. There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him. Neil Marshall rescued me.
Hold it!
What was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Almost forgot about Gant. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assume that would also be why he was the first to run after Dark. When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead. And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in. I don't clearly remember what happened then, but... And so, the testimony continues. We'll press even more about what Emma never will forget in that instant, and next time on Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, as the final day of the case is underway, with Edgeworth on side. Can we reveal the truth? I'll see you for more. Bye-bye.